Hi guys, we've got an update on Toffee, a health update on Toffee and just a life in general update on Toffee. So he's fine, he's doing really well. He wants to go back out to the garden even though he's just had an hour in the garden, but we'll go back out again in a minute if you want. He's nervous on camera. So Toffee a few weeks ago had a scratch on one of his eyes, and I noticed that because it was very sticky. Sometimes sticky eyes can just be normal, but this was unusually sticky and just on the one eye, not both. So our exotic vet gave him drops to put in the eye for 7 days and it cleared itself up. He's got the all clear now on that. I think it's possibly because since he came to us, his claws have been a little bit too short to clip back very far. Even at the vets, I've said, can you clip his nails a bit because they're quite long? And she's like, well, no, actually, they're a little bit too short to clip still since he was a baby. So they managed to clip a couple of them, but they were razor sharp. I don't know what he was doing in his hutch before he came to us, sort of sharpening his claws on the metal or something, but he came to us with really razor sharp claws. So I don't know whether he just scratched his eye, but he's fine now. He's doing really well. That's all cleared up. I mentioned to you he was supposed to be neutered early July. That has been postponed till middle of August due to our exotic vet being unwell. They've cancelled it and moved it a couple of times, so it's now moved to August. She's on a staged return back to work. So fingers crossed she'll be back in the middle of August and I'll be able to do that. So we're getting Toffee neutered for a couple of reasons. One of them is that there are known health risks that can occur if they are not neutered. So they're risks that really we want to stamp out early on. Toileting's not too bad. Toffee's actually been quite good with his toileting. He poops around the house, but he's not done any wee-wees anywhere to mark his territory or anything like that, except in the garden. He will spray you in the garden, especially if you're standing behind him, he'll all over you. But that's fine, that wasn't really an issue. I'm trying to think of the most wholesome way of putting this. So Toffee several times has tried to mate with Mummy, and it's fine. I just move him away, but he scratches a lot while trying to cling on. So you often get scratched a fair bit, and he has taken a bit of an amorous liking to our 14-year-old. So every time he sees him walking around the house, he's there at his feet and he's trying to mate with him. So it's been a little bit awkward. Toffee, I think, is quite hormonal at this stage. And it just means that if he's neutered and that all calms down, it will just make it a lot easier for the family to be together. I don't want to restrict Toffee's space because of it. And I know people have said when Pom Pom was neutered that their rabbits try and mate with them and they just keep them in their cages separately. I don't really want to restrict Toffee's freedom. Since 6 weeks, he's been free roam where he wants to go. And at the start, he was scared of the stairs, but he went wherever he wanted to upstairs. And once he mastered the stairs, he's been just wherever he wants, whenever he wants during the day. Between the hours of midnight and 6 in the morning, which is when he zoomies and wakes me up and I let him out again and then go back to bed for a bit because 6 is a little bit early for me. Between those hours, he's still in his bedroom, but as you see, his bedroom is a small double bedroom, so there's plenty of room to run around and things to do in his room. And I don't shut the door in his room, I just shut the stair gate, so he can still hear us in the morning going past before we open the door, or at night. He knows people are around in the other rooms, can hear Daddy snoring, so he's happy. Aren't you, Toff? But I envisage at some point, as with Pom Pom when he was a year old, just letting him free roam 24/7. He's very well behaved around the house, so that shouldn't really be an issue when he's a bit older. So yeah, we're doing really well, and I don't want to restrict his space just because of the hormones kicking in. So I think if that all gets under control and calmed down a little bit, it will just make family life as we know it a little bit easier as well, to keep Toffee having the freedom of going where he wants to go. So that's you, isn't it? Yeah, sweetheart? So he's doing very well. I had some comments last week on a video of him coming back from the vets in the car, and he was kind of hunched over on the dashboard looking a bit worried, and his shoulder bones stick out a little bit when he stands like that. And I had a couple of comments of people saying he looks underfed, underweight, malnourished. just to reassure you, he's none of those. He's fine. The vet actually that day a week ago weighed him for a pre-neuter checkup, and she said he's doing really well. He's a really good weight, and he's quite lean still. She can feel his muscles, his bones. But she said he's in really good shape. He's a long rabbit, as was Pom Pom. So, you know, size-wise, they might not be that big, but they're very long. Both of them are very long. And Toffee's got his long tail to extend on the end as well. Toffee is now 2.5 kilos at 6 months. Pom Pom, most of his life was 2.7 kilos. So you'll see that although Pom Pom looks very big and Toffee looks quite small, tiny and skinny, they're actually almost the same weight. So Pom Pom was super floofy and had so much fluff and floof, whereas Toffee's fluff is, he's very fluffy, but it's a lot finer. His shoulder bones stick out a little bit more. But yeah, they're almost the same weight. Pom Pom, bless him, went up to 2.9 before he passed away because I was feeding him up with more treats and things. We knew he was ill anyway, so I wanted to spoil him. But yeah, between Toffee 2.5 at 6 months and Pom Pom 2.7 as an adult, Toffee's probably still got a little bit more growing to go, so they're going to be a similar weight, I think. So don't worry, he's not underweight, he's not underfed. He was on alfalfa because he was underweight when he came to us. He just looks a little bit more bony, I think, with his bones on his shoulders. Trying to switch a rabbit from alfalfa to Timothy after 6 months has been a challenge. I didn't know until we started him on alfalfa that alfalfa is actually a very sweet hay. And I found that out, and then I was kicking myself for putting him on it because trying to say to a rabbit, right, we've got to start reducing this really sweet, tasty hay and giving you this not so sweet Timothy Meadow Orchard hay. He wasn't having any of it, so he kind of went on hay strike totally for a week, and I was reducing it slowly. So I was still putting alfalfa, mixing it with orchard, mixing it with Timothy, seeing what he wanted, mixing it with forage, and he was, or just on its own, and he was like, alfalfa, num 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 num, had enough and gone off. So then I was worried he wasn't eating enough for a week. So I got some hay bales, which Pom Pom used to love, from a company called Hop 2 Forage. They were very brown last year, but they've got their new stock in this year, the new cut of hay, and it's very fresh and green, and he's taken a real liking to those. So I've got one for him on the landing upstairs that he munches on during the day, and I've got another bale, and I literally just put, because it's so tightly packed, a whole bale per week in his tray. So I'm not changing his hay every day. Pom Pom just had regular Timothy hay, and that had to be changed every day because it went flat so quickly overnight that if you didn't top it up the next day, it wasn't fresh anymore. But Toffee at the moment, I'm not changing it every day. I'm changing the tray every day, so his poo and his pee gets taken out and cleaned. But I'm literally just keeping a bale in there and rotating it because these bales are so densely packed with so much hay, and they stay fresh for about a week. So he's loving munching on those. Gets a whole bale in his tray. He's quite lucky. And that's just really helped to transition him because it was becoming a bit of a worry whether he'd actually ever transition off alfalfa because of its sweetness, but he has. So you're doing really well, aren't you, Toff? Hey? You got a little bit of something on you from the garden there, sweetheart. I'll get that off in a minute. Looks like a little fly or something stuck to you. A bit of grass. It's a bit of grass. Okay. That's Toffee's update, and I will be in contact again as and when the neutering happens later in August.